Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and Master Certified Life Coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, today we're talking about your next chapter toolkit, especially when you're starting something new after 60. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast Women in the Middle. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your Master Certified Coach and Midlife Mentor, and I am so glad to be here with you again. Now, as you probably know, I help women just like you stop wasting valuable time. My mission is to help you stop living like time doesn't matter, because it does. Today's episode is inspired by the topic of reinvention, starting something new, allowing yourself to be happy and allowing yourself to regret-proof your life. And we're going to look at this through the lens of life after 60. Now, don't worry, you'll be able to apply this podcast to your life if you're in your 50s too, but I wanted to shout out to the gals in their 60s for this episode and put the spotlight on us. For me, turning 60 felt different than turning 50. And that's what I hear from a lot of clients too. 60 can feel like standing on the edge of a whole new landscape. You've lived a lot of life by then. You've made countless decisions. You've loved deeply, learned endlessly. And now something inside you whispers, what's next? It's like you had a plan to get here and the plan worked fine until it didn't, like you did the plan. And now you're craving more. Here's the truth, though. Wanting more at this age doesn't have to mean starting over. I hear that a lot, too. Midlife gals often tell me that they wonder if they're too old to make whatever change you're thinking about. Maybe a change in career or developing a new hobby, or maybe moving to a new place, maybe start traveling more or differently or pursuing any new path. You may have resistance or confusion because you might think it's going to be too hard because you're starting over at this age. But I would suggest that you're not. You're starting from everything that got you here. That's a big difference. Now, today we're talking about your next chapter toolkit, a gentle, practical guide to help you navigate reinvention with the wisdom, clarity, and courage that only life experience can give you. Inside this toolkit, we're going to be exploring what it's like to start new things after 60. Not because you're lost or behind, but because you're ready. So we're going to dive into this in a minute, but just quick, I have a question for you. Do you sometimes get the feeling that you're waiting for the right time, for clarity about what you want, or when something in your life changes for you to be finally able to put yourself first? Does that sound like you? Because here's the thing, your next chapter won't wait forever. The truth is that you don't need to live like this. You don't need fixing or perfection. You are deserving now. What you do need is clarity. And I have great news. I have a quiz that will help you find out what's keeping you stuck and how to move forward toward the life you've been putting off. It's free, it's fun, and it's fast. Just go to www.midlifequiz.com and help yourself get the insight you need to go after your next chapter so you don't have regrets. Again, head over to www.midlifequiz.com. Okay, now let's dive in. Today's episode is a fun one and honestly kind of a love letter to possibility. It's called Your Next Chapter Toolkit because if you're in your 60s and thinking, can I really start something new? Whether it's a business, a podcast, a blog, a new morning routine, a new focus in your life, a creative project, or a reinvention of your career, or anything else, the answer is a big, happy midlife. Yes, you can. Now, before we dig in, just let me say this. Starting something new in your 60s isn't starting from scratch. I hinted that. You will likely think that starting something new means being a beginner again. And that is not entirely true. You might be a beginner at the specific skill set you're wanting to acquire, but you're not a total beginner at this age at all. Think about it. Starting something new now is really starting from experience, and that is your secret weapon. So I'm 62 now, and I have to say, I do think about my 60s a little bit differently than I did my 50s. It's subtle, But the time sensitivity thing looms a little larger, in that I really don't want to waste valuable time because it truly feels like it's flying by faster than any other decade. And this is a common experience for us, so we're reminded to step on the gas already. Wouldn't you agree? So I'm really excited to talk to you about the toolkit concept today. And I also want to share an observation that you may be able to relate to. It's something that a lot of midlife gals are embracing with abandon. They are starting as newbies, but not really because they have other experiences in life. But it's a good example to show you what's going on with starting new things. They are learning new skills, they're having fun, and they're doing it with excitement. Do you know what I'm talking about? My friend, it's pickleball. Are you playing yet? Pickleball is alive and well in my family. First it was my husband and the kids, and now I'm also starting to play more. Friends, family, and clients have also shared how much fun they're having, how social it is, and how easy it is to get started, even at this age. The stats prove it too. In 2023, players over 65 accounted for 15.4% of total participants, and the 55 to 64-year-old age group made up 12%. Just an example for us, but I did want to share. Another example of a trend that's going on with older women is with women entrepreneurs starting businesses over 60. It is a growing demographic. So as a listener, you may recall that I started my business 10 years ago in my 50s, but within my business, I started a second podcast recently called the Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs. And I started this last year, so that was 2024, at 61. Now, if you would have asked me if I would become a podcaster at this age, let alone the host of 2 shows, there's no way I would have predicted it. Like, that would be a big old no. And also, if you're listening, you probably remember that technology, I had a big hang up about technology too that I'm working on. Yet here I am, and here you are listening. So those are just a quick couple of examples of what's going on with older women starting new things. Sometimes they feel like a beginner around the skill set, but there's so much other experience we have to bring to the table that absolutely help. Like even with pickleball, I realized that, I'd been playing tennis for a long time, and that kind of helped. I really do think it helped. It's definitely not the same thing, but so the skill is there, but there's also a lot of wisdom. I also noticed that I'm not that competitive, and that really helps me too. So there's lots of things that we bring forward that just helps with experience and wisdom as a backdrop to learning a new skill. We are not starting over. Now, something I do like to say, though, is that starting a business in midlife or starting anything new can be a little bit like adopting a puppy. It could be exciting and adorable, and occasionally, things are a little wonky and there's a mess on the rug. If you're lucky, it's on a pee pad, but you know how it goes. It's usually on the carpet. Now, let's pop open that toolkit. Of course, it's an imaginary toolkit. You didn't miss getting something in the mail or anything. It's not a physical box, but let's open that imaginary toolkit and see what you really need to thrive and be happy at this age. Now, I have some tools to put in your next chapter toolkit. So the first tools in your toolkit are mindset tools. Mindset tool number 1. The starting wise lens. Now, I'm not talking about reading glasses. It's just the way you're looking at the world. You can work on shifting your mindset to this kind of thing instead. So you're not starting over. You're starting from everything that got you here. That's a mindset shift. Or you have decades of wisdom, you have decades of leadership, you have decades of resilience behind you. That's not baggage. That's rocket fuel. Like it's something that can really help you move forward. It's something that won't detract. You know how we think, I don't know if this has happened to you, but when you're older and you do a resume or you're doing something on LinkedIn and you're wondering, ooh, maybe I'm putting something here that's making me look too old. Like maybe the date that you went to school or how many years experience you had at a job. So I'm not an expert in that area about what to put on your resume. However, that kind of thinking can creep into your brain beyond resume. So sometimes we learn something in one world and then it creeps over. So this might be one of those examples to think about the decades of wisdom and experience you have behind you and how that can actually help you It doesn't have to hinder you. It can really help you. Okay, here's mindset tool number 2, the curiosity compass. Now, you may have noticed that there are a lot of references to journeys, roadmaps, compasses when it comes to growing forward in midlife. The truth is that they work really well because you're searching for discovering your direction at this point in your life. The compass idea works well too because curiosity is so important for you now at this age. And to get the most out of curiosity, you have to focus on it over comparison. Okay, so you have to really focus on being curious over comparison. Comparing yourself with others, comparing your pace of change with others, comparing yourself with your past self when you were younger, all that stuff. Whatever it is, adjust your mindset to adopt curiosity over comparison. So every time you think, oh, I should already know this, stop, replace it with, I wonder what I can learn here. Or when you catch yourself thinking, I should be farther than I am, stop and replace it with, I'm learning that my pace is perfect for me right now, this sort of thing. So curiosity can turn frustration into fuel. It can move you forward. So that is the curiosity compass. Now, mindset tool number 3, the permission slip. This one is so valuable and important for midlife gals like you. My friend, give yourself permission to go slower, to experiment, to not be perfect the first time. Remember, when it comes to accomplishing your goals and transitioning into a new direction or toward a new goal, going fast doesn't guarantee success, but being persistent moves you in that direction. This is a powerful insight, and it is so powerful that I am sitting here at my desk and I have a sparkly wand just to my left. I use the sparkly wand and I love giving my clients permission through Zoom, right? Ding, I'm giving you permission. You'll see the sparkly wand come out. There's a ding on the screen and you've been given permission. This comes up all the time. Now, one example that I had when I had to give myself permission, I did it with becoming, it had to do with mindful doodling and becoming a certified Zentangle teacher. I had a hunch that Zentangle and mindful doodling was a really good fit for me in this phase of my life. I wasn't sure exactly how or why, but calligraphy and doodling and paper and ink and all that stuff had been important to me since I was a kid. But to do something like to pay for training, to pay for this little certification, I wasn't sure exactly how or why I was going to use it, but I pursued it. I paid for it. I pursued it. I took the training and I gave myself permission to lean into trying something new that was in alignment with something I've always loved and excelled at. And that was creativity. So it was beyond the pen. It was beyond the ink. It was being creative. Now, this was new for me because I never really allowed myself to pursue developing skills like this formally, like paying for a training. Even in high school, my school had an art wing, like a really big art wing. It was a huge high school. And I was envious of my friends who spent time there, who took all the courses and, it was their hangout. I had the band room. I had marching band and all that. But I didn't ever take one course at that end of the school in the art wing. So I had this thought that kept me from it. And the thought was I should be doing something more traditionally academic versus creative. And when I say that now, I honestly can't believe it. I can't believe I had that thought because creativity has been such an integral part of my life. Now, in my mind, academic versus creative were separate. And it kept me from leaning into any kind of training, really. Training, when you get training, you put time and resources into it. You have to practice. You embrace your craft or whatever it is you're learning. But in my mind, there was a block there. They were separate. And now, for me personally, it's my go-to focus when I need some self-care. And when I need emotional regulation, I know I can count on it when I sit down and do mindful doodling. So I'm using these tools more and more, both personally and professionally. They are also incorporated into the Women in the Middle Academy And it's amazing. It is super fun and fulfilling to be able to share something I feel so strongly about and something that I love with other women who also have some thoughts, some wonky thoughts about not being creative. And then I've heard this a million times too. They just rule it right out. So as your midlife coach, I'd like to give you a question to think about. What story are you telling yourself about age right now? I know it sounds like a simple question, but when you really dig in, you'll find some powerful insights and what you're thinking may not be serving you. And then there's this one. You may need to sit down for this one or pull over if you're listening in the car. It's a big one. What might change if you decided that your best ideas are still ahead of you? Whoa. What might change in your life if you just decided and embraced that your best ideas about your bucket list, about what you want to learn, about how you want to spend your time, anything like that, those best ideas are still ahead of you? So good. So let that land and notice what popped into your mind. Don't poo-poo it away. Notice what popped into your mind just now. Maybe it was in a sentence. Maybe it was a song that has some special meaning. Maybe it was just a vision, like an image or something you just sensed. But something popped into your mind. You may have noticed some other surprising thoughts that could use some curiosity. Now, let's look at some practical tools. Did you ever think that you would be excited about a toolkit and tools at your age? You never know what's possible. And who doesn't like a practical tool? Remember, this is your next chapter toolkit. So the practical tools, they're essential. They're simple. They are the type of thing that'll really just keep your life flowing. Practical tool number 1, a clarity system. Whether it's an app like Notion, Trello, a color-coded Google Sheet, or a beautiful paper planner, who doesn't love that? You need a place to dump ideas, organize projects, and track what matters in your life. This isn't about perfection. It's about peace of mind. Get the stuff out of your brain, get it out of your head, put it somewhere so you can find it and see it. Lists, mind maps, project ideas, work, whatever. Now, personally, I've moved beyond paper for some things, but not all. I use a paper journal. A wipe-off board is really helpful for me, and Google Docs, and then, of course, my notes app on my phone. I love sticky notes, but I have to resist overusing them because really they can easily end up all over the place, and it may not be the strategy for everything when it comes to creating a practical clarity tool. And there's one more thing. I also created something that you might like. It's called the Get Unstuck Midlife Clarity Fast and Easy Masterclass. It is awesome. When you take the masterclass, you get clear about your next chapter priorities without spin, confusion, and overwhelm. Get this, in less than an hour. So if that's interesting to you, it's an amazing little clarity resource. Just go to midliferoadmap.com. I'll also put that information in the show notes. Okay, practical tool number 2, a creation tool. So, how do you create stuff? My favorites are Canva, ChatGPT, and a phone with a decent camera. So you don't need a design degree to have something that looks professional. Canva has your back. Canva is awesome. And ChatGPT can help you brainstorm ideas super fast, faster than caffeine at the crack of dawn. So I have found that the magic happens when you stop resisting the tools and start using them to express your brilliance. That's really helped me with several things personally and professionally already. I was very hesitant to use ChatGPT, but I just started with baby steps, and it's really been fun. It's able to just help you think things through faster. And I would say better, because the prompts, like if you had a group of people helping you on a project team, you would get lots of inputs from lots of people. But a lot of us don't have that for every project, especially personal projects. So I find that that's really helpful for that. Anyway, Canva's super easy, and your phone is great. And it's just easier than ever to create stuff, this kind of stuff, and have it look amazing. So whether you're creating a vision board, like a digital vision board, or writing a book, or developing social media pins, there is a lot of digital help out there for you these days that can make your life easier. If you make your own art, you can also photograph it and use it digitally. So many ways to use today's technology, even at an entry level. For me, the biggest tech win has definitely been what you're listening to right now. This podcast, I mean, really, I still can't believe I've been creating podcast episodes since 2017. It's just become a thing I do, and I really appreciate you as a listener. And practical tool number 3, a money and momentum tool. In the old days, remember what we needed to do? We had to fill out the little thingy at the back of the checkbook. Keeping track of checks was about all we needed to do. Today, personally and professionally, it always helps you to get on top of this part of your life. You need a simple way to track expenses, and if you're an entrepreneur, you may need more, like Wave, FreshBooks, QuickBooks, something like that, maybe even a bookkeeper. It will really help you see growth. So having a money and momentum tool is really important. Money clarity equals confidence. And finally, practical tool number 4, a nervous system reset tool. Think about it. What do you do to calm down, to relax, to manage your emotional state? What can you rely on? What do you know will help you? And as you probably know, it's really important to know how to help yourself this way, right? You have to know what strategies you can rely on, like meditation apps, going for a walk, especially a walk in nature, listening to your favorite music, or even a 10-minute doodle break. Keep these ideas at the ready, right? They help keep you present and creative instead of overwhelmed. They help you calm down. Because let's face it, life can be noisy, life can be stressful. You may have difficulty putting yourself first. Maybe you're a people pleaser. Maybe you worry a lot, or you're just dealing with the stress of life or your work. The quiet moments are where your best ideas live. Anytime I needed to name a book, so in my last JOB, I created these children's books. And whenever I needed, there were 3 of them, to come up with a really good title, I knew I could do it in the shower. Those were the quiet moments. You're really usually not multitasking in there. You're just focusing. And I could always come up with a good title for the book when I was in the shower. So the quiet moments really do help. And the tip here is not to confuse tool collecting with progress. That's when you think you're being productive and you feel really, really busy, but you're not always moving forward the way you want to. If this is you, try picking the tools that actually calm your brain and simplify your work, not complicate it. This happens to me I think the time that this happens the most is just having too many tabs open. So I have all these tools. I've collected lots of tools, and sometimes I have too many open at the same time, and I find it very confusing, and it gets in the way, and it slows me down, and it creates this, this muck in my brain. It's just too much going on. So I love the idea of being very, very mindful about picking the ones that calm your brain and actually simplify your work. Things that don't complicate things for you and make it more difficult. Okay, let's check in. So we've looked at mindset tools and practical tools for your next chapter. This is stuff that's in your toolkit now. So now let's move on to another fun and important thing for your toolkit, network tools. I'm talking about people. Because none of us thrive at any age, really, without people in our lives, without community. Life isn't as fun or as meaningful or rich even when you're just a solo operator. At 60, your network is pure gold, but you have to activate it, right? You have to engage. So network tool number 1, community over comparison. Join spaces, like you have to actively seek spaces out where other women your age are dreaming big. They're interested in trying new things and always have interesting stories to tell. We are wired for connection, and momentum multiplies when you're surrounded by possibility. So personally, I really noticed this when I left my last JOB, and I started meeting new people with a wide variety of backgrounds, educations, and experiences. One of the things I noticed from transitioning from a union environment, like a corporate-y type of environment, to an entrepreneurial environment was a huge difference with people because they came from just so many different backgrounds and entrepreneurs. I met more entrepreneurs than I ever had in my life. They seem to be way more comfortable dreaming big and really pushing themselves to imagine what was really possible for them. So these are just some of my personal observations. I know there are some people that are not entrepreneurs that also think big and focus on what's really possible for them. And yes, it can be scary sometimes to think like this, to push yourself to think like this, but it's just so important to dream anyway, even when you have a feeling this is never going to work or whatever. It's so important to keep imagining what is possible. There's no harm in it. What is possible? So I loved having these new inputs in my life by people who just think differently and think bigger than I ever had in the past. Very, very helpful for me. Okay, another network tool, number 2, mentorship. Both ways. Mentorship both ways. You can be the mentor and the mentee. Younger women love learning from your experience, and they can teach you shortcuts that you didn't know existed. This has happened to me a million times. Again, I loved being in both of these roles in the last 10 years. It's so fun and fulfilling to be a mentor, and so amazing to share gratitude to your mentors in real time. And I created the opportunity to do that. I will put the links to these episodes in the show notes, but I had an opportunity to have 3 mentors in my life on the show. And I told them what I learned from them and thanked them and, talked about how grateful I was. And they shared the mentors that they had in their lives too. I also had someone on and I was a mentor for him. So this mentorship both ways thing is super interesting and super valuable. And again, I'm going to put the links to these episodes in the show notes. So if you have an opportunity to be a mentor and a mentee, do both. It's awesome. Okay, network tool number 3, your support squad. You do not need to do everything yourself anymore. So go ahead, hire the help around the house, like maybe help with cleaning or help with yard work. You can also use apps to help, like have food and groceries delivered. I have salads delivered every other week, and I love my lunch now full of veggies that I didn't have to cut. So if you want it, you can probably find help for that specific thing. Whatever's important to you. If it's work-related support you're dreaming about, you can probably find that too, like a virtual assistant, maybe a bookkeeper, whatever it is you need help with. Think of it as delegating to future-proof your energy. And I have to say, on my other podcast, Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the reality of running a business after 50, energy drain is one of the most common things that the women report has really gotten in the way of the way they want to run their business. So here's a great idea to delegate some of this stuff so that you can future-proof your energy. Independence doesn't have to mean isolation. It can also mean intelligent collaboration. Okay, so here's what's in your next chapter toolkit so far. Mindset tools, practical tools, network tools, and there's one more tool that's awesome to have in your next chapter toolkit. It's the Purpose Compass tool. So here's a compass again. This last one's probably the most important tool of all. Your Purpose Compass tool is the reason behind everything you build and create. And at this age, you are not chasing hustle anymore. You're chasing meaning. Ask anybody your age. It's pretty common. We want more meaning. Think about it. Who do you want to become in your next decade? Who are you becoming as you create this thing, whatever it is that you want? What experience or identity might you regret if you don't move in this direction, whatever it is? With me, my passion and drive to help midlife women has become so clear to me lately, especially in my 60s. So you may know that my mission is based on my early childhood experience. My parents died quite young, my mother at 32 and my father at 41. So when I was 5 and 12 years old, I lost a parent. And I grew up watching 4 grandparents grieve the loss of their adult children who didn't have the privilege to age. That's what I saw. That's what I experienced throughout my life. So aging is a privilege that I understood. So many of us take this for granted. You've been aging from the minute you were born. But in midlife, especially for women, it's so easy to have a lot of negative talk about aging and why it's worse than youth. Aging can feel bad, hard, tricky, unpredictable, challenging. And the more and more I worked with women 50 plus, 60 plus, the more I realized that so many of them didn't understand at all how amazing they were and how much possibility there was still available to them. This drove me crazy, and it still continues to drive me crazy. I love coaching women like you to help you see what's truly possible for you and how your mindset can help you move toward those goals so you don't have regrets. I help you figure out what you want to focus on, and what you can do instead of what you can't do. And it becomes easier and easier to allow yourself to be happy when you develop these skills. So finding my purpose and leaning into it like I've done has been one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done, and I am so grateful for developing the skills to do so. Understanding my why has absolutely helped me help women like you regret-proof your life. Remember, the Next Chapter Toolkit isn't about a cute, hands-on, shiny, three-dimensional toolbox or super cool apps and software in and of themselves. Instead, it's about developing a soulful, meaningful structure for your life. It's about something that feels like you and figuring out how to prioritize it and how to lean into it, how to help yourself with all of these tools create the life you want. So that's what I have for you today. Let's recap. Your Next Chapter Toolkit has this stuff inside. Mindset tools. You're not starting over. You are starting wise. Practical tools. Keep them simple, joyful, and clear. Network tools. Collaboration is your secret accelerator. And purpose tools. Meaning is the real metric of success. I am proud to share that I have lots of clients who have tried new things and developed them into rewarding new parts of their lives. Everything from shifting their career to include something new, making a huge pivot or change professionally that was more rewarding. Sometimes they go back to school, they move to a new part of the country, they think about a project different or a goal differently or a priority in a different way that makes it super exciting, and they go for it. Some of them write a book, some of them start a podcast, and some have taken a career break, and some have really focused on their bucket list and whatever it is they want on there, and they're making it a priority. Traveling has become something that people are really focusing on too. So one of the side effects is when they surprise themselves, and that's super fun when they realize how much mindset work was required to help them help themselves. And midlife coaching and transformation like this is really the fastest way to rediscover joy and purpose at any age, especially after 60. So I love watching that. That side effect is how surprised they are when they realize how hard they've worked and the major shifts that they've had to do with the way they think about stuff to create what it is they want. Super, super fun, very powerful. So remember, you're not too late. You're exactly on time, and you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from wisdom. Every new chapter begins with one decision: to believe that there's still more life left in you and more creativity than ever before. So go ahead, open that Next Chapter Toolkit of yours and start building your super fun, exciting next big thing. Okay, that's it for this episode. Remember, if you want to find out what's keeping you stuck and how to move toward the life you've been putting off, I have a new midlife quiz for you. It is free and fun, and it goes really fast. It's easy. So go to www.midlifequiz.com and help yourself get the insight you need to go after your next chapter so you don't have regrets. That's midlifequiz.com. If this episode resonated with you and you're ready to stop waiting for what you want in life, come join me inside the Women in the Middle Academy. It's where we help you go from stuck and overwhelmed to clear, confident, and excited about your next chapter in life and business. Head over to womeninthemiddleacademy.com and book a momentum call to see if it's a fit for you. Thanks so much for listening to the Women in the Middle show. My focus as your regret-proofing midlife coach is to help you waste less valuable time and get on with the good stuff. Remember, being the queen of your brain domain is the best way to be. My friend, it's time for you to stop waiting for the right moment and start creating the happiness, excitement, joy, and fulfillment that you crave. You are worth it. For show notes and links, go to www.susierosenstein.com and click on the podcast tab and look for episode 429. You'll also see links there for my other show, The Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, which is all about the reality of running your business when you're a midlife gal. It's on iTunes, Spotify, and all the places. Let's do this, ladies. It's time for you to put yourself first, one thought at a time. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.